Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you are watching my What I'm Reading Right Now video for the 6th week of 2022. Let's not think too hard about how quickly we are approaching the end of the first decade. I know it's not called a decade, but I can never remember what the word for like a 10 of something is. It's by the by. I'm going to tell you what I have finished since last time we spoke, what I'm reading right now, and what I'm going to be reading, as well as some new releases snippets, and actually quite a bit of a book haul, because as you all know, if you watched last week was my birthday. I'm excited to talk about the things that I received, some of which I bought myself, some of which were purchased for me by friends, but you'll have to stick around towards the end of the video for that, because I'm going to get all of the admin out of the way first. I finished 4 things since last time we spoke, which I'm pretty pleased with. First up, I finished Raven Stratagem, which, let's go this way. I finished Raven Stratagem by Yoon-Ha Lee. I'm audiobooking this series. It was a good time. I think so far it's my favourite of the series. There are only 3 books. I've got 1 left. I'll come on to it, but I'm in the middle of the 3rd one right now. I'm having a decent enough time with it. It's still very complex world-building-y stuff, which isn't always my favourite, which is why listening to it on audiobook is helping. Some things happened that I was genuinely not expecting, which I very much enjoy. I will do like a full wrap-up of thoughts when I finish the whole series, but essentially if you like very complicated sci-fi, you'll probably like this. There are some elements that I know skeeve people out a little bit, which perfectly valid. So have a look at some of the content warnings first. But yeah, I'm enjoying that series. Glad to be 1 more book closer to the end. Then I did finish Animorphs 30. I was not sure it was going to happen. I was very, very tired after a weekend away, and I also had a video to film. But no, I got myself together and I sat down and I read it and I scripted the video. Hooray! I've also finished editing Animorphs 29, so if you are a patron, you can watch that now. If not, you will have to wait until a bit later in the month, I'm afraid. I don't feel the need to go into Animorphs that much, but just to let you know, I am progressing the series. Then I finished a new release, Comeuppance Served Cold by Marion Deeds. Now, do you want 1929, magical, Seattle, heist, eat the rich, prohibition? I'm trying to think of a good 7th word, but I can't think of one. Novella. There you go. It's short. I really enjoyed this. I was trying to reflect on whether some elements of it didn't sit as well with me, because, very similar to a book that I've criticised in the past, which is A Declaration on the Rights of Magicians, this is obviously combining real-world history at a time where there was a lot of patriarchal stuff, racism, bad things happening to good people, all of the above. That was actually happening, and this takes that and says those things are happening, and also magic racism. Racism against magic users. Prejudice against magic users? Probably a better term. I was trying to think if I felt differently about this to Declaration on the Rights of Magicians. Declaration on the Rights of Magicians skeeved me out, because it's a period of history I know a lot about, and I was kind of like, not sure about this. In this case, do I feel like it was better handled, or do I just know less about this period of history? Declaration on the Rights of Magicians is more historical. It is featuring actual historical figures in a way that I think this book isn't. It's more, this is a type of character that existed in that time. I don't think it's perfectly handled, and obviously there are a lot of racist elements depicted in the book that may have come better from an Own Voices person, but the actual heist, which is the focus of the story, and the characters themselves, I thought were really, really good. I'll be very interested to hear other thoughts on this, particularly from Own Voices reviewers, but I had a good time with it. I think it evoked the emotions it was wanting to evoke in me, and I would probably reread it, and I would kind of like to own a copy. I'm trying to decide. I'm trying not to spend quite so much money on novellas this year, but it might happen. We'll see. I think I'm going to try and do a dedicated review video for that, maybe after the release date when I could have garnered some other opinions. And then I finished my reread of The Archive of the Forgotten. I finished this yesterday. It's a really good time. The Hell's Library series is one of my all-time favourites. I'm so excited to have started the 3rd one. I'm very, very excited. This book features more dealing with the problems from book 1, and it gets a little bit more into the mechanics of this universe. Isn't even a big enough word, really. This setting, which I appreciated. I'd forgotten that was the case, so it was nice to get towards the end and kind of be surprised by that for a second time. I don't know whether that says more about my ability to retain information about books than it does about the book itself, but there we go. Yeah, I had a good time. Fair warning, Asher was reading this recently and commented that like the first chunk of it is very, very just like very sad and kind of bleak. That is the case. I think it stays pretty sad throughout. Luna is screaming, I apologise. It's still a good time, it still has a place in my heart. Adventure Gaze is always going to be a good time for me. What am I currently reading? I don't even know at the moment. I feel like so out of sync with my reading at the moment. Poetry collection. Don't need to talk about it. Lost Worlds and Mythological Kingdoms is next week's. I'm reading the other half of that next week. Revenant Gun, the third book in Machineries of Empire, that sequel to Raven's Stratagem. I am a little bit of the way through, probably about 10% of the way through, maybe a bit further. I'm enjoying it. I don't have a huge amount to say at this point. I'll probably have more to say next week. And I have read, how much have I read of that? I think it's like 10%. I've read 7% of The God of Lost Words. So far, it's mostly just recapping what happened in the previous book, which will be very useful if you don't have time for a reread, but is kind of redundant if you have had time. So yeah, I don't really quite know where that book's going to go yet. And I'm excited to find out. I never read the blurb for third books in a series. I'm like, no, let it surprise me. Let me go on a journey with these characters. And then I need to open my spreadsheets before I start recording, really. It would save editing me a lot of cutting out dead air. I don't think I can grab it without pulling like a whole pile of sewing tools down on top of me, and that feels like not something I want to do. Wild Beauty by A.M. Macklemore is the last thing I need to read this week after I finish. Oh no, it's not. I'm lying to you completely. I have Wild Beauty, I have to finish Revenant Gun, and I have to read Roots of Corruption, but I haven't started 2 of those yet. So those are my next on my radar. Covers, thank you, editing. Oh, I should have done that this. Thank you, Editing Judith. Sorry for moving across the screen so you had to edit in different covers. So, sorry. Coming up next week, I have the next book in A. Macklemore read-along, which is Blanca y Roja. Excited to get to it. The first half of The Way Spring Arrives, which is a short story collection. Carnival of Ash. Actually, next week is a lot of new releases. Carnival of Ash. The first half of Atlas 6. I am going to read it. I want to make that Dark Academia video. It's going to come. And the other half of Lost Worlds and Mythological Kingdoms. But I won't have got to all of those by the next time we speak, so we'll see how we go. The only new release I have on my list for this week, in fact, is The God of Lost Words, which is out this week, and I'm reading it this week. And I would love to get a video out for the release date, but given that the release date was yesterday, I don't think it's going to happen. We'll see. I would like to make a full video for the whole trilogy. That takes a little bit more planning, so we'll be slightly further away from the pub date, but I don't feel too bad about it because they approved my NetGalley request quite late in the day. Well, let's talk about books that are new to me. I'm very excited about it. I have a big old stack next to me. I have tried to keep track of who these were all from. I may not have succeeded. So if any of these came from you and I don't mention it, it's not because I'm not grateful, it's because I'm forgetful and I always lose the little slips of paper. This was from Nikki. Nikki's amazing. Thank you so much, Nikki. She sent me a copy of The City We Became. I have already read this. I loved this. I've been like stopping myself for some reason buying a copy. I keep seeing it in paperback and I'm like, oh, I should buy a paperback copy of that. And I never did. And now I have it. Huzzah. So this will come in an overbooked catch up in the fullness of time, or I believe there are meant to be more books in the series, so hopefully I will get to it. I'm trying not to waffle on for too long about these, but also maybe I should. These are from my delightful sister-in-law. Thank you so much to my sister-in-law. I don't think she watches my videos, but you never know. Brandon Sanderson's Warbreaker, which I have already read, but, and I'll come on to that when I've talked about the next one, The Greatest Kings by Ken Liu. This was just a thing that I added to my wish list, because I was like, this seems like a thing I might enjoy. It's got, maybe not a dragon, but some sort of winged creature on it. I'm here for it. Don't know anything about it. Probably won't get to read it until maybe August. So Warbreaker. This is very exciting. I have already read this. I read this a number of years ago, in fact, at my in-laws' house. So that's nice. I can't remember which video it was in. I think it was in my longest series video, which will not have come out yet. That's coming out at the end of February. But I vaguely talked about wanting to sort of start afresh with Brandon Sanderson because I feel a bit awash in it, and I can't remember what I have and haven't read, so it's great to have a copy of this for that project when it does indeed happen. And from my mother-in-law, I have a copy of The Fabric of Civilization, How Textiles Made the World. This was a recommendation from somewhere. It was either a video or a person, I can't remember, but this is a history of textiles and the kind of subsequent history of civilization. Makes sense. Which I'm excited to read. So the chapter headings are things like fibre, thread, cloth, dye, traders, consumers, innovators. As you all know, I love sewing, I love textiles. I'm excited to read more about this. That is my first non-fiction book that I've brought onto my shelves in many a year, so that's exciting. Then there's a stack of things that I bought for myself. First up, my copy of In the Serpent's Wake did arrive. At one point it said it wasn't going to arrive till March, and I was about to be very, very cross with Amazon customer services, and then it arrived very quickly. Sidebar, I try not to order books from Amazon that much. I'm trying to cut down on my Amazon spending because I think going all or nothing is just not practical for me. I couldn't pre-order this anywhere else. I don't know why. I couldn't find it on any other book sites. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Sequel to Test of the Road, I talked about this last week. I'm excited. When am I gonna do a reread? I don't know. And then I picked up 3 things when we went to Gloucester at the weekend. I picked up a copy of My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This is the book that came before. It's not a prequel, or they aren't sequels or anything, but it is the book that he wrote before he wrote The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. And as you will remember, if I talked about it at the time, maybe I did, I was indecisive about which one of these I wanted to buy, and in the end I decided on the vampires. But now I want to read this one because I know I like his writing. So that's my horror contribution to my shelves. I don't know, I think it's going to be a good time. I picked up a copy of Jadefire Gold by June C.L. Tan. I don't actually know much about this. I think this is probably, this has the potential to be a bit too YA for me. We have, in an empire on the brink of war, Arn is no one with no past and no family. Alton is the lost heir, his future stolen away as a child. When they meet, Alton sees in Arn a path to reclaiming the throne. Arn sees a way to finally unlock her past and understand her lethal magical abilities, but they may have to pay a far deadlier price than either could have imagined. Yeah, Girls of Paper and Fire meets Song of Wraiths and Ruin is another thing this is described as, and I liked both of those books, so I don't know. It was a bit of a whim. I'm excited. I like a hardback. I just do. And then I did pick up a paperback of Realm Breaker. I just wanted to show you the sprayed edges because they're very exciting to me. This is by Victoria Aveyard, who wrote the Red Queen series, which I do actually kind of unironically appreciate. They're really good, silly, fun YA time. And I wanted to read this, and I didn't want to buy it in hardback, and I didn't want to buy it in ebook, and I didn't want to buy it in paperback. And then I just saw it, and I was like, you know what? Treat myself. So I treated myself to a copy of this, and if I don't like it, I'll donate it, and it's all fine. And those are all the books that I added to my TBR. Some of them I have read before, so they don't quite count in the same way. It's fine. It's fine. So yes, thank you to those who sent books. You are much appreciated. I appreciate you muchly. I don't know where they're going to go on my shelves. I'll figure it out. That's a future Judith problem. Aside from that, the biggest thing I bought for my birthday was an overlocker, which is a kind of fancy sewing machine. I'm very excited to play with it. I'm a bit nervous as well, but I have some fabric coming. So I'm planning the sewing project. The second sewing project that I'm doing this year is being planned in my little brain tank as we speak. So excited for that. I think that's everything. Oh, last thing, I have a podcast recommendation. My very dear friend, Bex, is part of a podcast that has just launched called Roll Plus Heart, and it is an actual play tabletop role-playing game podcast. The first 2 episodes are live now, I believe. The next one will be up like a week from now when you're watching this, something like that, around about the 15th or something, and they are playing Thirsty Sword Lesbians, and it is a delightful, wonderful time, those first 2 episodes. I will leave a link to that in the description below. Bex is a friend, but she's not paying me to say any of this. I just think it's a really good time, and I have listened to both episodes twice. What are you up to? What have you been reading? Do you have any podcast recommendations? Maybe I have the brain space for them now. I might not, but maybe. Plonk those down in the description below. While you're down there commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also follow me on social media. Come hang out on Discord, where we have a wonderful time talking about books. Nothing makes me feel more loved and appreciated than my patrons, who are not getting this video early, but get most of my other videos early because they are excellent human beings. Thank you so much. If you'd like to join their number, that's all linked in the description as well. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one. I just hit myself in the head. Oh, every time. There's gonna be some bloopers now. 7% of the God of Lost Worlds. Words every time. Oh no, where have I put it? Oh, that's a bad idea. Where have I... It was here. Oh, it's up there.